On this channel, I've covered the demon list quite a lot in recent times, and one thing that I covered specifically quite recently was the fact that the demon list announced that they were pulling out a Google form for everyone to submit on, and this Google form was to basically gather everyone's thoughts on adding the Rated Plus tab to the list. The Rated Plus tab would add unrated levels to the list and rank them by difficulty, because as you guys know, for the longest time since this website is being created, this list has ranked official rated levels on the list by difficulty, from Thinking Space 2 at number 1 in current times all the way down to Cold Sweat now, right? However, as you know, these aren't the only levels that are of this difficulty on the servers that have been legitimately verified. A bunch of levels go unnoticed because they just never get attention by RobTop, never get rated, and so nobody hears about them because they don't end up on the main demon list that everyone follows. So we have stuff like Ultra Paracosm here, which is a potential top 15 level, and stuff like Orochi and Sari Never Clear, which are potential top 10s, but next to nobody knows about them. And if you're really into the community and cover all the news channels and look over those, you will know about this level. However, if you're not and you're just a casual fan of GD, you probably never heard of these achievements because, yeah, they're just not rated, they don't go on the demon list, no one hears about them. And recently, the demon list has released the results of these polls. I'm surprised it only lasts 10 days. I really would have thought that they would have kept this up for a couple weeks to gather as many opinions as possible, but nope, just over a week and they're finished. And yeah, as you can see, this was done to see if they would move forward with unrated levels being added to the list. This was a change they were going to do a while ago, but I mentioned it in my last video. Won't cover it too much. CBF happened, made it so that a lot of these levels needed to be placed, but RobTop wouldn't rate CBF levels. Then CBF got added, and so now the problem didn't exist because CBF levels started to get rated, so the unrated tab. So the rated plus tab didn't really need to exist. However, now they're rethinking about it because it's not just that for the reasons why they wanted to add it. It's also to give these levels a lot more attention and to make the playing field fair and not just off of RobTop's bias. So they released a poll. Now, I'll be going over these polls, looking at the results, sharing them, giving my opinions, but I do want to say, they're probably going to end it soon, but the news community channel on Vortrox's server that he runs, well, not his main server, but a side one that he has, mentions that this is going to be on the main tab. Like, these unrated levels are not going to be on their separate tab, they're going to be lumped in with currently rated levels on one big list. I don't see that as what's happening for these results. I don't know why it says that, but I'm sure it's going to be changed soon. But yeah, let's just get into it. The first one was, should both rated and unrated levels be eligible for the demon list? And over 80% of people said that yes, both rated and unrated levels should be eligible for the demon list. Now, this poll is just to see if people want unrated levels in any capacity. So maybe on a rated plus tab, which is a separate section of the website, or maybe they won't even give points and they're just there for like custom to show that you've beat them, like a little extra achievement. But yeah, the majority here agree that they should be added. 17% though is still a large amount of people. I believe this means 7,000 plus people voted. 17% of 7,300 is still a ton of people. We then have a couple more here. How would you like to go about unrated levels? And there's a ton of options here. But the main one, which over half of the respondents actually said, was add to a separate rated plus tab. And this is where I think they should go, because I've seen a lot of people say that, well, the demon list is called the demon list, and these unrated levels aren't even officially classed as demons since they're not rated, so why should they be added? And also, it will just overwhelm the list in one big gulp, and it also doesn't fix anything because the demon lists are going to have their own rate standards. For adding unrated levels to the list, they're going to pick and choose, like they have to be still a certain level of quality, which doesn't fix the problem at all, because that's exactly what RobTop's doing right now, he's just deciding himself. However, I think that they should be recognized in some form, so I think having a separate tab on the most popular list for them specifically would be a good idea, and that is what we're seeing here. Now, I will say 33% did say add them directly to the current list, which is a large amount, and that is people wanting to just straight up add them all in one big list. And then 9.5%, still quite a large proportion, said that they just want cosmetic unrated levels, meaning they're on a separate list. You could technically, apply to say that you've beat them. However, they're not going to give you any list points. It's just going to be on your profile. And so that means that a large majority, over 90% of respondents, want unrated levels on the list in some form. Which is kind of weird because it means that in this poll, it was only 82%, so I don't know what changed in between the two. And then this bottom one says, if you want a separate Rated Plus tab, would you actively follow Rated Plus rather than the original tab? So basically, would you care to look at unrated levels more than the current rated levels? And surprisingly, this is quite a even split. 61% actually said they would follow the Rated Plus rather than the original tab, which again shows that people want these levels added to the list. Here's another one here. How would you like to go about unrated levels? Someone here had a bit of an issue with this, but other than that, the large majority, nearly half, said that they would add them to a separate Rated Plus tab. So basically the consensus is here that we're going to be getting a separate tab for them. They're not going to be lumped in into one big giant list with both rated and unrated levels. They're going to be a separate thing, but they're actually going to get recognized. They're going to be on the list. And again, we see the same kind of split with a bit less amount of people want them added directly to the list, and then a smaller but still big population of people said that they want cosmetic unrated levels. A good chunk actually said they don't know, but I mean, can't really speak on that, they just don't know. And then also, if you want a separate tab, would you actively use the Rated Plus tab over the original list? Which is weird, because 41% here said they will continue to mainly follow the original list. However, here, the majority said that they would rather actively follow the Rated Plus tab rather than the original list. So there's a bit of a difference there, but I think it's just because of it's worded slightly differently, so the responses are going to be slightly different. But also, actually, now that I look at it, there's only like 200 responses here, which is so weird. Like, why is there at the bottom only like a couple hundred responses? Did that many people just give up halfway? Did they not care about answering these? Like, I get that this is only for people to answer if they want a separate tab, but I think there's a lot more than 262 people. And yeah, antwoorden means answers in Dutch, so I'm not wrong here. This is what it means. And at the bottom here, it says, based on the results from the polls, the overwhelming majority agrees that unrated levels should have a place in the demon list, which I'm very thankful for. I want this to happen. Additionally, Rated Plus is the most popular way of implementing unrated levels. Again, don't know what the GD News Center said. This is for Rated Plus that's probably going to be added, not all of them going into the same one list. Therefore, we'll be moving forward with Rated Plus. Which means finally, we'll get a Rated Plus tab. So that means that it's going to be here. We have main list, extended, and legacy. Probably in between extended and legacy, we'll see the Rated Plus, or it'll be over here. And you can click on it and you'll be able to see the unrated levels as well. So that is going to be a very cool change. It's actually going to be one of the first changes we've seen to the list in a long time. I've noticed that in the 2020s, the demon list has barely changed. The global list has added a ton of very cool features. You can even make your custom lists on there, which I find super cool, but the demon list hasn't really done anything. So it's going to be cool to see an actual change from the most official kind of site here, at least the most popular one, so I'm very grateful for that. Also, I'm just happy that we're going to be seeing unrated levels get much more popularity. I think that a lot of people that try and beat these really hard levels also go super unnoticed because they're not beating the super well-known levels, they're beating these obscure levels that feel more like challenges, so it's just really cool to see that they're probably going to get more attention. Now, a lot of you are probably going to think this is going to happen instantly. I don't know when this change is going to go into effect, but I've got a feeling it's going to be for a while, because keep in mind, the Demon List said they were going to add the Rated Plus tab a while back, like a long time ago, when CBF was the main issue, and that was a problem before RobTop added it. and they took months. Like, they took months for it to have, like, any word on it, and then it just got cancelled. Now, I know for those months they were working on it, I believe. Which means that if they've still kept that design, then I'm assuming it won't take that long to be added, but maybe they've scrapped that and we're gonna have to see it done from scratch, which is gonna take months again. But I feel like with how public they've been about it this time and how excited they seem about adding it, and the fact that we've had this nearly get added before, I feel like it is going to be soon that we see this get added. Which is good because there's so many levels here that just deserve to be, recognized. Midnight here would be 51 on the list. Okay, Midnight would be 51 if it was on it, and Midnight is already like barely off the main list. So the fact that it's only 51 when we're just counting unrated levels tells you how hard some of these actually are. But that is pretty much all I have to say for now. We're back to uploading 2 a day, I guess. That's 2 videos today. But don't expect this to be the norm. In fact, it should be at the maximum 1 upload a day starting soon. But I'm gonna try and keep giving you daily news videos at least. I want to at least keep up the daily uploads. But don't expect 2 videos a day every single day. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. Thanks for watching, and peace.